Do LPs sound better on vintage equipment? Mike in Denver wants to know, Colorado, Denver, where we are, is it true that vinyl records sound best on stereo systems made before CDs were invented? I've read that listening to a well-mastered LP on a high-quality 1970s system is like playing a 59 Les Paul through a 61 Fender blackface guitar amp. And I assume, Mike, you know what that means. I get the gist, but I don't know what that means. They say an old Les Paul will sound great through a modern amp, but it can only get that iconic sound through a guitar amp from the same era. And I think you are right. And I think we're mixing stuff up. So if we're looking for an iconic sound, then yeah, I think you need to play it through classic vintage equipment. If we're looking for the best we can get off of a particular vinyl disc, then I think modern equipment better qualifies than vintage equipment. So it really depends on what you are attempting to do. Recreate the past or get the most out of a piece of media. For my money, I want the best out of a piece of media. I'm not too interested in going back in the past. It's just me. I had plenty of the past. I don't need to go back and do that again. So my, Stan Warren and I started in 1974, and I think I met Stan in 73 or so. And that was the first time, and I'd been playing, I've been a disc jockey. I'd been a disc jockey for years up to that point. Probably by that time, 4 or 5 years. I went all through the Army as an AFN DJ, all of which you'll be able to read about, and my encounters with Giorgio Moroder and Elton John and Pete Bellotti and the trouble I got in threatening to burn the AFN network down to the ground. All of that stuff is coming up in my book. And here's a shameless plug for my book, 99% True. And it, in fact, 99% of it is true. So it's the vast majority. We embellished a little bit here and there, but not too much. And I've been working on this thing for 2 years, and I'm pretty proud of it. A lot of people are going to read this, are going to be horrified and never watch this channel again. I guarantee it. When you read some of the crap that I've been through in my life, you have no idea about me. You really don't. You read this book, you're going to go, holy shit, that's the guy I'm watching right now? Yeah, well, I pull back the kimono all the way, and you get to see it all. So look for it, 99% True. Should be out pretty soon. Anyway, where were we? We were talking about vintage. Yeah, so, in those early days, I had my own turntable. I had a great AR turntable and a Dynaco setup, a great pair of phased array loudspeakers, and I loved listening to music, but it wasn't a spectacular audiophile presentation. I didn't even know what that was. And when I met Stan Warren at PS Audio, when we first started Paul and Stan Audio, Stan brought me into the world of high-end audio. He was the one that first played for me at his home a real turntable on real, and of course now vintage equipment, and I was blown away, like holy moly, that was amazing. And the next thing I did is his boss, Norm Little, who owned a company that sold waterbeds, Ball Waterbed Company, and Stan was a waterbed installer. Remember waterbeds? Probably all had one. And Norm had a system that was to die for, and I talk all about it in the book. I go through at least a chapter about Norm's system. Triamped Audio Research, Janssen Electrostats, Cerwin-Vega subwoofers number 1 and 2. These were 18-inch subwoofers. I mean, this was a freezer full of hash. I mean, I'd never heard anything like this, and I doubt seriously that even today a whole lot of this kind of sound exists. I mean, it was something else. There is a classic vintage system, and if you wanted that experience, you'd have to go back and reassemble that system. Now, I can take those same albums and play it on an excellent vinyl system today, like my buddy Michael Fremer. Michael Fremer is a reviewer, and Michael has, well, let's just say it. He's got the best vinyl system I've ever heard in my life. And his system, big pair of Wilsons and all that, blows away Norm's, blows it away. But it's not that same vintage sound, and Michael's not trying for that. So I guess this is a roundabout way of just letting you know that yes, if you want that vintage sound, you got to go back to that vintage equipment. If you're looking to get what Michael Fremer gets out of it, which is excellent, then you got to have modern equipment that can run circles around that old stuff. Hope that answers your question. And thank you for asking it.